also gotten one guy making fun of my hairline. Now, he isn't incorrect. I think my hairline could be a lot better. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the 1% Podcast. I am your host, Vin, and
I'm Shane.
Took too long, Shane. Took too long, Shane. Killing the thunder.
Shane.
Yes, indeed, Shane. Shanus. So, today we're talking about a few different things. We're going to talk about marketing, ads, and Shane would love to lead on a debate. So, Shane apparently has been in the debate team, and he's a fan of debates, and he likes debating, and he's a debater. So, Shane is a master debater. He's a master debater. Please tell us, what are your thoughts on debating?
Oh, let's bypass that terrible joke. But
it's not. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's not debating in general. It's the debate, the presidential debate that actually happened last night. It was more entertaining and humorous, personally, than what I've seen in the other debates every 4 years. That it was just childish. Like, they were talking about their handicaps in golf. Like, they were comparing their golf handicaps, like who was better in golf in a presidential debate that's televised nationwide. First off, they both clearly lied about their handicap. One said that Biden said that he was a 6 and Trump was an 8. So that means, I don't know if you're familiar with golf or not, or for the people who are listening, familiar with golf or not, a handicap 6 means that he only hits 6 shots over the limit of golf, par, which is usually 70 to 72. Which is extremely tough to do. The professionals hit maybe 1 or 2 under par, which is, right, the 1%, the very small select few. Mine is like a 12 handicap to 15 handicap. You're 85, 86 years old and you're hitting 6 over par. Extremely hard to do. Not buying it. But anyways, that's what they were talking about at a presidential debate for part of the topic. I just couldn't believe how childish it was. Like, we're talking about nationwide problems and they're bickering and bantering, which they always do, right? It's Biden and Trump. They're at each other's throats. Whoever you're voting for, I don't want to get into it, but I'm sure you saw the part where they were talking about their golf handicaps. A little ridiculous, right?
Well, I didn't watch it, so I don't know, because I don't personally care about the debate, because to me, it's not really a debate. It's just, it's silliness. I don't really need to watch that. If I really want to watch something entertaining, I have so many shows I have yet to watch on Netflix. I'll just tune into one of those. So I was out to dinner. I had a pizza. It was lovely, and I had some phenomenal wings and some sliders and a very good steak sandwich with a horseradish aioli. It was phenomenal.
See, I was going to call you un-American for not watching the debate until I heard what you ordered. So yeah, that's American right there. But to be honest, it's hard, right? I'm currently a Republican. My wife and my household is Republican, but
you can't say that. You're going to get canceled by everybody else. Come on now.
No, and in business, you have to have an open mind in general, with softwares, with marketing, with tools. You have to have an open mind to succeed, and you have to learn to evolve. So that's always been my mindset. I'm a Republican currently. I wasn't always a Republican, because I currently think what Trump is going to do is going to be better for the society and better for me and my family. And that's how I think people should vote, is what's going to be better for them and their family and overall the nation in general. Right? I'm not telling anybody who to vote for or why, but I'm certainly that's why. Now, what I'm getting at with this is I try to have an open mind. And it's so hard to have an open mind when you're looking at an 86-year-old man who is clearly has dementia or some sort of that variant, who can't really put a complete sentence together, right? And when he starts talking about numbers, it goes all over the place, right? He starts with one sentence and ends like, where did this come from? So it's to be honest, it's atrocious to hear. And I feel bad for the guy. Like, go and rest, be on a beach somewhere with your family, with your remaining years. Why are you trying to, run an entire country? Like, you're going to be 90. You're going to be 90. You're going to be he's already the oldest president, but you're going to continue the oldest president to run this country at 90 when your term is over. I don't get it.
I didn't really, so I didn't see the debate, but I did see some great memes. And one of them was one with Trump that said, what did he say? It said, I don't know what he just said, and I don't think he knows what he said either. So it was something like that. Anyway, that made me chuckle. Anyway, and so much for keeping this unbiased, because you're gonna get, this is not gonna make the 3 followers we have that like Biden are gonna unfollow us after this, just so you know. But for those of you listening, I don't identify with either party. I think both sides are fucking nuts. I'm a libertarian. But people hate me too because I don't identify with either party. So it's okay. Everybody hates everybody nowadays, which seems to be the theme in society because nobody could get along anymore because it's extremely polarized. That's why nobody talks about politics, or you shouldn't talk about politics and religion and all that other stuff, because people just don't know how to get along anymore. People don't know how to have a conversation with anyone if it doesn't fit their view, because then they get overly emotional. But that's also the goal. The goal is to get everybody so polarized they can't have a conversation.
You know what? I got to tell you a story for what you just said. And, it's going to turn our 10 followers minus a 3 for, being the other side. Even though I feel like what I said doesn't really say anything, but this might lose the other 3, which I doubt it. But I had a true story that happened to me a few weeks ago in Home Depot. I need to tell this story.
Oh boy.
Because of what you just said. And I personally I think I want to get it out there. It's I got a ceiling fan, and the motor for the ceiling fan worked, but the light didn't work. And if you know, for these ceiling fans, they're very specialized bulbs. You can't just go to Home Depot and buy a bulb and put it in the ceiling fan, right? They come pre-installed. So anyways, I had to go to Home Depot to exchange for another ceiling fan. The person was great who was helping me out, said, hey, go get another ceiling fan. I'll exchange it for you. No problem. Great. Went over there. And when you do an exchange or return, you're extra nice. You know what I mean? Like you just have that, oh, hi, you're extra giddy or whatever it is. Maybe that's just me every time I'm doing a return.
Man likes returning things.
No, it's just how it is. Like when you're returning or exchanging something, I feel like I go up a level of niceness just because I'm returning something or exchanging. That's it. That's all I'm getting at.
Okay.
So, anyways, the whole thing is done. And this person, I said, thanks, man. I appreciate your help. And I start walking out with my ceiling fan. I take 2 steps, and he said, I am not a man. And I stopped. And I said, okay, thanks for your help. And I walked out. Now, this person was a male, had hair in his face, didn't have any makeup on, was dressed like a regular person. It was clearly a male, in my opinion. And just because of what he identified. One, I'm at Home Depot. Isn't this like the most alpha place to be in? Like, is Home Depot? Second of all, you don't treat customers like that, right? You don't say something like that, especially from a super friendly engagement of a quick exchange. You can't just say something like that. If I just said, thanks, man, for your help, like I appreciate it, and you stop me and say, I am not a man, like you had to say that. I have a very big problem with things like that, that you have to go out of your way while you're working at your job to stop me from me saying, thanks for your help, man, I really appreciate it, or around those lines, to tell me that you're not a man. This is just a ridiculous times that we're living in, to be honest. It's not really happening anywhere else in the world, and it's happening in the United States. And I'm fine with transgenders, gays, everything like that, but do you really have to treat people like that for this common exchange? I couldn't believe it. I was flabbergasted. I talked to my wife when I got home. I talked to her parents. I couldn't believe something like this happened to me. It was the first time I've ever experienced something like this. I see something on Facebook and Instagram, like videos like this all the time, but I couldn't believe that I just witnessed something like that. For what I did, for what I said, and for the whole thing that happened, which was completely cordial and friendly.
It's pretty funny because one time I called this woman a man by accident. She kind of was a little manly looking. She didn't even have that reaction. She just ignored it, actually, which is what you should do, realistically. The
Or
problem is,
politely correct them, right? Say, hey,
yeah,
I don't identify. If you have to say it.
yeah. Well, and and it's funny, right? Because here's the biggest kicker. People are putting so much responsibility on others, right? Like that is Shane, you need to know better. But the reality is you don't. It's not your responsibility. So the funny thing is that especially if you understand psychology, most people don't do things out of a malicious intent. Most people do things because of the fact that they're either wrapped up in their own stuff and they honestly aren't even considering you. Is that they're just unaware because they have a lot of things going on and they're just like kind of going through the motions, or just that they have an assumption in their mind which is neither correct nor incorrect. It's just their assumption of what they could easily see and piece together very quickly. So like when I called that woman a man, for instance, I was dealing with my 2-year-old daughter because it was at the zoo, and this woman's in a booth which is a little shady and hard to see in, and she was a little bit of a bigger stature and she had short hair. So I was just like walked up and I was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" I'm paying attention to my daughter because my daughter's too, like, kind of pulling me, wanting to run into the zoo, and I'm just trying to make sure like she doesn't leave, and I'm just like trying to acknowledge that person. And then when I look up, I hear her, and she's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And I'm like, "It's good." And I felt silly. I felt even sillier because she didn't correct me. I felt even more almost wanting to apologize,
Yeah, it's
but
embarrassment.
right. I felt
Yeah,
embarrassed and I felt wanting to apologize because of the fact that she didn't even say anything and she just
sure.
shrugged it off. And I was like, and then I was thinking about as I'm walking around the zoo, I'm like, oh man, should I have said I'm sorry? But maybe she didn't even hear it. So then it would have been weird if I said I'm sorry, because then I would have had to explain I'm saying I'm sorry because I called you a man and you didn't even hear that and you didn't know I called you a man. Now you do. So it's like it's like that's what you walk away with when somebody doesn't have to put you in your place, right? Because if she was reacted and was like, "I'm a woman," I'd be like, "You sure are," and I probably would have kept walking.
See, but that's the definition is like that was a mistake that happened and and she was nice about it. Like she was a regular person. I
Yeah,
feel like that's a regular interaction.
yeah.
I but I was so flabbergasted that this person actually had to say something. It made no sense to me. And I think it's an
Yeah.
attention seeker, like maybe, or I guess. But anyways, I had to bring it up because that unfortunately is where this world is turning to,
Mm,
right? It's
yes.
this.
This
It's really sad.
this unbiased episode brought to you by Shane and Vin of the 1% podcast.
Yeah.
We've enjoyed having 25 subscribers. We will see the last 10 of you in our next episode. Thank you for
You know
tuning in.
what? I'm sure that we're going to get. I'm sure at this point we're going to get to 100 subscribers.
Oh yeah.
I think there's going to be some people out there that at least agree with that story. Do you think that's ridiculous though, right?
I do. But
Okay.
it doesn't matter what I think because the reality is that it's their life, it's my life, and I don't personally give a shit because that ridiculousness doesn't impact me in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely right. So why even mention it at all? Let me
Yeah.
walk out of that store and go on my way because I mean nothing to you. You don't know me. Why even correct it? You're
Because if you
absolutely.
ever go back there, now you know that manly person with facial hair is not a man.
It doesn't identify as a man.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're not.
Okay. So marketing and ads, Vin.
You need to
Vin's
be very
actually been
specific if you're target. Well, with marketing and ads, you need to be specific with your audience.
so Vin's actually been working on his ads and marketing for the last couple of months here, and he was pretty giddy about talking about marketing ads. And
Oh yeah.
I've had some winners and some losers in the past decade here for the various companies that I've owned and operated. And that's the thing about ads and marketing is 99% of them don't work. But when you find one, when you find a winner and you have that one, you double down, and it's a great source of
Yep.
lead potential.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've actually been very excited to come on and share with all of you my experience running ads for the first time. So thus far, I spent over $1,000. Not a crazy amount. Spent over $1,000 on ads so far. Still running, by the way, so we're still spending. And for that, I have gotten hit on by a gay guy in my DMs who thought I was the most attractive man he's ever seen, and then asked me promptly, "What are you doing?" Like, just great. And I flipped it on him. I said, "Well, thank you for the compliment, but what I'm doing is making people's lives better. Do you want to coach?"
That's a good sales tactic right there.
You might have wanted a date, but what you might have gotten as a coach. Suffice to say, he never answered, so that is now a dead lead. I've also got, yeah, it's been great. I've also gotten one guy making fun of my hairline. Now, he isn't incorrect. I think my hairline could be a lot better. But what he doesn't know is that eventually I'm going to go for one of those hair replacement surgeries. My hairline will come down to hair here, and I will have a Fabio mane of hair. So joke's on him, because eventually I'm going to run an ad straight to his account with me having a long mane of hair, and ask him if it looks better. So that's another thing. I've also gotten people calling me a scam artist, telling me that I suck, telling me that my ad is crap. One guy felt the need to announce that he has 1,200 active clients and I am full of crap and I don't know what I'm doing. To which my question is, if you have 1,200 active clients, why are you sitting here leaving crappy comments on random people's ads from your personal account? Shouldn't you be busy working, doing things? I don't know, dealing with 1,200 clients. It seems like a lot. I have somewhere around 20-ish clients, and I'm always busy. How do you have 1,200 and time to leave crappy comments? Anywho, and then I got one nice guy that said, "Hey, man, keep doing what you're doing. We all start somewhere." And I was like, "You're a cool guy." So I've had a bunch of calls booked, tons of no-shows, lots of follow-up, still no-shows, no responses to the follow-up. All in all, it's been a very interesting experience. I'm learning a lot. About all these different processes. I'm also going to drop a little bomb for those of you that are still here that didn't tune out because we were unbiased and politically correct. There's something that I've learned recently, which I think is really cool. If you type in to Google search, actually, it's I believe that the term is Facebook ads page. You could actually search anyone's ads, active or inactive, and you could see their copy, you could see what their ad looks like, you can see all of it. And so America is a great place because we don't always believe in inventing our own things, but we do believe in taking other people's stuff and making it better. And that's what you could do with people's ads. So if you love, for instance, as a coach, if you love Tony Robbins, go search Tony Robbins ads, see what his copy's like, see what his ads like, see what he's still running, see what he stopped running, see why he stopped running it. You can't really go that in depth, but you can figure out, right? Like if he's got an ad that's still active after 3 months and all the other ones are inactive, you could probably guess that's a winning ad. So these are a lot of the things I'm learning. There's also a lot of interesting things to learn about API integrations, which are basically how Meta tracks everything so that they can understand who's clicking your stuff, who's looking into your stuff. It's really, really fascinating because it becomes more and more intelligent as it tracks all the data of who's checking in on your things. So it's really important to actually integrate these API connections into your CRM and into your landing pages and your forms or however you're running your ads. So overall, it's been a very interesting educational and experiential experience. I am looking forward to doing an update on another podcast where I could say, now people aren't, hitting on me and telling me my hairline sucks. Now people are signing up and I'm getting coaching clients. So we're looking for those results, but we got to deal with this first. And one thing I will say is that this is definitely a test of the mindset. You're running ads, you're spending a good amount of money, or at least this is a good amount of money to me, and you're not seeing results. And so it challenges you. But that's kind of the cool thing. Like one of the things that I've learned that's helped me with my sales mindset is the idea, like for instance, an example being, if you knew you had to get 99 no's to get your first sale at 100, wouldn't you feel more enthusiastic about blasting through and getting those 99 no's? And the problem is that when we're looking at sales, we're just getting frustrated because we're spending the money, we're putting in the effort, the time, the energy, we're getting the no-shows, we're getting the rejections, but we're never really rationalizing that getting through those leads us to our eventual first sale. So the thing that still keeps me motivated through all of this is like, yes, like this is what I need. I need the no's. I need the cash burn. I need the crappy leads. I need the bad results so that as I go through that, it's getting me so much closer to actually getting the yeses and the clients that I'm seeking. So it actually keeps me extremely enthusiastic through this failure process to because the failure process is actually the start of the success process. So this has been my current experience with sales and ads. And yeah, I'm sure Shane has a lot more than I do, but that's been my fun.
I mean, specifically having my background in a marketing agency and offering this for clients, this is pretty much what I teach clients to, expect and what to, project out there. And it's accurate. It really is. Ads, you don't know what's going to work until you run it. And even if I have, another coaching client that's like Vin, and I'm running one ad for the client and it's working great, and I'm running those same type of ads for Vin, for some reason that doesn't work. You need to have backup plans. And I think that's the good thing about marketing is you constantly are tweaking, testing, trying different things out until you have one work. The frustrating part is you could waste a lot of money doing that. So that's why I don't recommend new businesses to spend any money on marketing until you actually have a proof of concept, you have testimonials, you have reviews, you have a foundation. And then even still, marketing might not be the option. The best form of advertisement is probably what I want to talk about is the owner speaking and testimonials. If you can combine those, it's really a win-win. Now, the owner speaking is all about pain points. People buy off impulse. People buy when they have an issue and they need something to solve that issue. That's just what happens. It's traditional. So if you talk about specific pain points that people are having and you can talk about a solution on video, that's going to get me to be interested to learning more. People's attention spans has gotten a lot shorter these days. So what I've personally seen works for our ads are 15 to 30-second clips. And shockingly, you have to have the hook right away. I don't know if you guys have seen the videos where, something's about to get hit with a car and then the business owner jumps in and talks about their pitch, right? Or the baseball, he swings and the ball comes right to your face and you're about to jump. And then the guy comes in and like, I'm Bob from Bob's Burgers, whatever it's going to be. And then they tell your advertisement. It's engaging and it makes me want to hear 4 or 5 seconds. So if you're thinking about doing ads, think of something like that. That's what's trendy right now. The second best form of marketing outside of owners and testimonials, remember owners as pain points, is influencer marketing. This is very, very big right now. And it doesn't work for every type of company, but it does work for a lot of different companies. Influencers have already built a brand of know, like, and trust. And it's very, very important because their followers already trust this person. Now, what happens if you trust someone? You're going to buy from them. If they're supporting a product, which I'm sure you guys have seen, if a celebrity is rocking, liquid deaths like MGK is doing and Wiz Khalifa, it may interest you in buying that. I personally tried it because a buddy of mine, once again, buddy of mine tried it. Let me get a sip of that. Fell in love with it. Pretty much like influencer marketing. So they already have a foundation. They already have support. Know, like, and trust. They buy from them. So if you're interested in selling your product or service, reach out to influencers, send them a DM and saying, hey, look, I will offer you some money if you can offer my product or service. It's very big right now. And you'll be shocked with what you get in return. Anyways, that's my 2 cents on my marketing.
Well, it is interesting because I think that it does come down to the pain and it comes down to the proper messaging, right? Like, I think we could all sit here and agree, me, you, the listeners, like we've all gotten wrapped into something because it was captivating to some degree. Whether they said the thing that we were like listening for, or they really got us with a weird graphic at the start or something that's just like, what the heck is that? And so if you can figure out, and I think this is interesting actually, this brings me to I have a client I'm working with who wants to launch his own brand. He's building a coaching brand. And it's funny because I was exactly where he was when I first started. And it's like you forget it when you're not in it, but then when you're working with somebody who's like doing it from scratch or wherever they were at, it starts bringing you back. And it's so funny because I'm going through like this avatar creation with him, because that becomes the basis for all of your copy and your messaging and the problems you solve and all that. And I remember that being a massively helpful procedure for me. And similarly, I remember also struggling and being wildly general in everything. And I continue to hammer into his mindset and nail it home with him of like, hey, dude, when you're too general, you're speaking to no one. And when you're speaking to no one, no one is going to respond because the message isn't for them.
Mm.
So we get a lot of fear around that because we don't want to be fit into a box. Like some people are like, well, yeah, I like working with men and I can help men, but I can help everybody. And it's like, I like working with men on issues of anxiety, but like I can help them with other things too. And so it's just like, I help you live a more fulfilling life. And it's funny because then I get to sit there with him and I'm like, dude, I don't know what that means. But that was him coming to me with like good marketing ideas. Like, yeah, I want to help people live more fulfilled. I'm like, but what does that look like? Like, what is more fulfilled? It could be anything. You could be saying more fulfilled making more money, or more fulfilled with love, or more fulfilled with joy in their own life, or more fulfilled as a father, or more fulfilled as a pro gamer. Like everything could have a level of fulfillment. So who do you want to work with? And I think that's really the challenge that people have because we're so afraid of being put into a box. But I think probably the best example is like looking at The Rock. I think The Rock is amazing in his brand ability because he started with one thing, and then that one thing became a question of, hey, if you could do this really well, could you do that? And then it went into another thing and another thing, right? Like The Rock started as a WWE guy. And then it was like, huh, you're pretty good at WWE. Could you get into acting? Oh, wow, you're a pretty crazy actor. Like, and you're really fit. Do you want to do this brand with Under Armour? And then it's like, oh, people are really curious about you, the man. Oh, you like tequila? Do you want to start a tequila brand? And it's like interesting because his brand can traverse all these different industries now because his messaging was so clear and so unique at the start, but then the curiosity behind the man who built the brand and the image and the identity spreads. And I think that people limit their businesses at times. And I definitely was guilty of doing that because I didn't want to say I could help this person with this issue because I wanted to make sure I had this catch all. But it's funny because I saw as I got really narrowed in, people started getting curious if I could help with other things too.
Mm.
And so my advice to people that are curious about marketing is like, do not be afraid to be extremely narrow because if your brand starts to proceed itself, the results are really great and the messaging is good and the brand builds, people will be curious what else you can do. And that's where more opportunity comes in. It doesn't come in the front where you're trying to solve everybody's issue around everything. It comes in the back end where you've proven you're the guy for that thing. And then you wow people because they're amazed. They didn't know you could do these other things too.
Yeah. Having a brand is very important, whether it's a company or an individual. And talking specifics, even including pain point and just specifics in general, you're spot on. I feel like that should be marketing 101. Like if I were to teach a marketing class, that would be my first one. What's your message? Let me hear it. It's not specific much. Next, sell me this pen. Nope. Sell me.
I also do want to share a cautionary story actually. This is from a guy that I got on a call with recently from one of my ads, funny enough. This guy, he's currently, I won't disclose any names, but he's currently in a little bit of debt, or a lot of bit of debt according to him. Reason being is that so I still look to provide value, right? I got on the call and within 5 minutes he revealed that he doesn't really have a lot of money because he's already invested in these services and products that he hasn't been able to utilize. And he's been putting it on credit cards and he needs to figure out how to pay that off. And he's got a sick wife and an autistic kid at home. And like, so now my heart's out for him. And I'm like, I know this guy ain't going to be able to buy from me, but let me just see if I could give him some perspective and help him out because I really feel for the guy, especially as he's the breadwinner for his family. I'm the breadwinner for my family. So like I just have a heart of like I want to help this guy because it's like I know what that's like. Like I know what it's like to think about like shit, man, I need to bring in money. Like I have a kid depending on me, I have my wife depending on me, and mind you, I didn't go that extra mile and be like, dude, I'll coach you for free, because I'm not going to do that. But I did want to see if in that hour I could provide value. And the hard truth that I had to deliver to that man was that he was sold a dream. And I know for at least one of the programs he paid over 12,000 for. I don't know what he paid for the other program that he's invested in, but I would have to assume it had to be somewhere in the range or a little cheaper. So let's just say this gentleman's 20,000 in debt. And these programs all revolve around setting up ads, running ads, getting clients for your business. Dude, I felt so sad because this guy doesn't even know what he's trying to sell. He doesn't have a service or a product that he can offer. He has nothing. And yet he was sold and believed, because there's some crappy salespeople that don't give a crap about your situation out there. They sold him that he will get clients and make a ton of money because he's going to use their system. They failed to even look at the fact that the guy doesn't even have a service or product to sell. Hell, he doesn't even know how to connect with people. He's never even sold anything in person. And mind you, what he wants to sell is insurance to people in his industry. He's a trucker currently. And he wants to sell insurance to these other guys because he knows it could be helpful. He wants to sell them life insurance and make sure their families are protected because he's concerned about his family. He's very heart-centered. And yet he's not even certified to sell his resell insurance yet. He's not like, or licensed, or whatever the terminology is. He has never sold it. He doesn't know how to sell it. And yet he's going to start running ads and get sales from cold traffic when he's never even sold to a warm lead. He's going to sell cold traffic. Impossible. And I had to tell him, I said, dude, I am so sorry to break this to you, but you did not invest in the right things. So I don't know if you could get your money back or what you could do. I was like, but from me to you, from my heart to serve, is you need to start selling to people in your circle, in your area, in your network. You need to start there, and you need to learn how to connect with them. Because he's also like, well, I struggle with being personal and connecting with others. I'm like, how are you going to make a sale? I'm like, dude, there's so much you need to learn. You need to learn the procedures. You need to learn your product. You need to learn how to ask people what their pain points are. He's like, well, I keep trying to sell that, the insurance eventually can lead them to retire early and they could build wealth. I'm like, they don't give a shit about that. Like, they don't care. He's like, yeah. He's like, I know they don't care. That's frustrating. I'm like, no, you're not asking the right questions. You're not figuring out what's important to them. You're just trying to sell what you think is important. And that's not being a good salesperson. That's being a product pusher. Being a salesperson is about trying to solve a problem and provide value. And he's like, well, I don't know how to do that. I said, so why would you buy a $12,000 course and some other course telling you could run cold traffic? You don't even know what you're doing. So I said, dude, this is what you got to do to, like, I hope this helps. This is what you got to do. Like, you shouldn't have invested in those things yet. You weren't ready. And that makes my heart hurt. It sucks.
Unfortunately, I know for both of us, we've both been in those types of positions where we both bought products, services that we didn't need, that we didn't want. We've all been in that,
Yeah.
and he needs to learn from his mistake so he doesn't do it again. And, especially because he's providing for his family, this is the time. This is the
Yeah.
time you're in a corner, right? You're financially challenged. This is the time where you have to get out of it and you have to do anything that you can to make it work. And I think that's like the mindset that I tell people to do. Like, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. It's not.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
all the successes are great. It's awesome. But all the failures, they're all on you. Your family, if you're the breadwinner, it's all on you. When you're in a hole and you have other people that are counting on you, that's it. So entrepreneurship is not for everybody. But if he takes what you said and he sees the situation, you have two options. You can bitch and moan about it and, call it a day and go back to being a trucker, or you can learn from your mistakes and figure it out. And that's what I can confidently say that we've both done and we both continue to do. Are we perfect? No. Do we make mistakes? All the time. I still buy crap that I don't need because I test things out, right? Cold emailing software, marketing ads, AI prospecting. We constantly go into things that we don't know what's going to work. Some do, some pan out, some don't. That's the name of the game. But You need to learn from your mistakes.
Yes. So make sure that if you are in the position where you are starting to consider running ads, make sure you know how to do it properly. Make sure you know how to track it. Getting your APIs and all these integrations that Facebook has are extremely important so that Facebook can also start more intelligently putting people that are actually signing up from the same demographics, have your ad run in front of them. So you need to learn a lot of stuff before you're going to do this. But most important, if you learned anything from this cautionary tale, make sure whatever you're trying to sell, you can sell it. Make sure that you are able to sell it to warm traffic, people people that are hot traffic, people that are like ready to buy the thing and you just stumbled across them at the right time. Like if you can't sell to those people, you have no business running ads, you have no business in marketing, you have no business doing any of this, and you need to go back to the drawing board. So please be intelligent with your money. And also be prepared. If you're going to run ads, be prepared for the results like I'm getting, where your hairline's going to get made fun of and you're just going to be told you're a scam artist because you're trying to run ads or whatever the case may be. So part of entrepreneurship and part of success is this: learn to go from failure to failure without a loss of enthusiasm. And if you lose your enthusiasm, go find it, because you cannot quit. So thank you, everybody, for joining us on the 1% podcast. I'm your host, Vin.
Oh, and I'm Shane. You always get the last word. I want to compliment on that. That's a good mindset.
Okay,
if you're good to go from, I could, just because some of them are good, not all of them. Like 90% of them are just okay endings, but that one was really good. And I'll got to give you props where you deserve it. So yeah, pat yourself on the back. If you want to go from failure to failure and you're not going to give up, entrepreneurship is for you. Keep your head in the game. I love that. I just wanted to reiterate how awesome that was. And if you made it this far, 37 minutes for this very long episode for what it seemed like for all these different topics, give yourself a pat on the back too. Look at this. I get to end it now. I'm your host, Shane.
And I'm Vin. And I'm on time.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Wait. Stop. You always do the thing. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know if you liked the episode, if you found something helpful, what you hated, probably Shane's rant at the start. Just give us some contacts, ratings, whatever you want. But we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you on the next one. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, guys.